I've been a Baha'i for about 10, 11 years now. I've seen many pioneers come, and unfortunately, some of them go for one reason or the other. Anyway, my feeling on pioneers is that they really help the community grow. I've seen them help the community grow. For a start, 11 years ago, I had not heard anything at all about the Baha'i faith in Dominica until one person invited me to a Baha'i meeting, and I had no idea what the person meant by a Baha'i meeting. Anyway, I went this night and I met two ladies. They were travel teachers at the time. In particular, I was very much attracted to one, Shirley Yarbrough from Alabama. She eventually became my spiritual mother. She actually nurtured me. She loved me into the Baha'i faith because I am a very headstrong person, and I had my own ideas as to how to live my life and what was right and what was wrong. And she seemed to have decided that I was a Baha'i, and it took her 6 months to get me to realize this. Anyway, the time came when I just had to accept that I was a Baha'i, and I had to declare, and it was all because of, her showing me the way, her showing me what I really was. Then, anyway, as I say, she was a travel teacher, so she was never here for any long period, all in one. Just now and again, she would come and she'd write and she'd telephone and she'd nurture by whatever means was available to her. And then there was the Percassis, Pat and Frank Percassi with their daughter Judy came over, and that was a godsend because for about 2 years I was an isolated Baha'i as far as I'm concerned. There were other Baha'is on the island, but they were also isolated Baha'is. I think there were about 3 or 4 of us scattered here and there. And Pat Percassi came, and she and Frank actually got us, helped us to develop in the faith, helped us to understand what it was that we had really become, what sort of lives we were going to live, what changes had to be made in our lives for us to really start living the Baha'i life. Eventually we started having meetings and firesides and all sorts of things like that, which started making being a Baha'i being a bit more excited, more good. Then one lovely lady named Junie Faley, she came over as a pioneer also. She was a bit going in years, and then there was a hurricane, and her health couldn't keep up with the conditions at the time, so she went back. But she was really the essence of love. And there are many people in Dominica who will never ever forget Junie. And she showed people what it was like to be a Baha'i for most of one's life. What you become like as you grow older. She was a spitting image of what a Baha'i, being exposed to the Baha'i writings for so many years, causes a person to be like. And she was at some stage you think, well, she was already an angel here on earth, She's still alive in the US as far as I understand. Then the Percassis was still here. Then Edith and Albert Sagan, that is Edith Sagan Johnson and Albert Sagan, brothers and sisters, they came over to Dominica, and they have settled here. They have been here for some probably 9 years or so, and they are really what I would say the axis on which the activities of the faith, you know, revolve. They give what you call direction, not only to the local Baha'is, but I think also to pioneers who come, people who come and go, travel teachers and so on. Actually, Edith is the secretary of the National Spiritual Assembly now. We've got a National Spiritual Assembly, by the way. So that means I have seen the Baha'i faith from a time when we only had isolated believers, to the point where we have a National Spiritual Assembly. We have something like about 17 local spiritual assemblies. Well, some of them don't function, and some of them don't function as they ought to, but some of them do function. And we have a national building where we have our national office, which we have purchased, and we also have a very beautiful center, Baha'i center, which is a sort of area for a district center. We have on record some probably 800 Baha'is now. So the 11-year period has seen many changes in the Baha'i faith in Dominica. A lot of it being, as a result of the efforts of the pioneers and the travel teachers. There are many others that I haven't mentioned, of course, like the Williamses. That is Brian and Catherine Williams and their two beautiful children. And there are, of course, I can't forget, there has been Dr. Taid and his lovely wife Nusrat, the Dr. Taid and Nusrat. They did a lot to assist us with getting our centers, our Baha'i centers. And there is, of course, still here with us, Dr. Vaccaro and his wife Alison. Alison is now the auxiliary board member for area. And there is also Dr. Cools and his wife and family, his wife and children, his wife Sandra. Actually, Dr. Vaccaro is the one who is making this video. I don't think that we could have developed, that the Baha'i community in Dominica could have developed the way it has if it wasn't for the pioneers who sacrificed and came here. I know it must be a sacrifice because they leave their homes and all that they're accustomed to and come here. But I don't know if loving people is a sacrifice, and that's what they do. They come here and they love us and nurture us, and we love them back. You know, I just think it's really very nice. I'm hoping that someday I too can be a pioneer.